Hi, Arun. We're able to hear you. Hi, everyone.
Hi everyone.
Hello. Thank you, Doc.
Hey guys, sorry I was in another meeting. That's why I was a little late. Arvind, you're able to record, right?
Yes, I have started the recording.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining, guys. Is Coach also on?
Coach is there. I was just talking to him. Coach, you are able to hear us?
Saying coach has left.
No, he's still there. I'm able to see him.
Okay.
I think he just dropped, and I think he's trying to come back in.
Hey, Walter.
So I think you.
Hello? Coach, can you hear us? Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, Shri, I can hear you, Shri. I hope you can hear me.
Okay. Yeah, I can, Aaron. I think maybe Coach's connection isn't as good. Just give another minute or so.
Do all the batches have similar AC interval workouts this week? I want to suffer together with everybody.
I think we are the only blessed ones.
Was it?
I think we're the only blessed ones for this week.
Nice. But I enjoyed it.
He didn't start the juniors too. I didn't do it today, but I did look at it. கொஞ்சம் தலை சுத்திட்டு அப்படியே மூடி வச்சிட்டேன்.
Hi, Coach.
Hi.
Hello, Coach. How are you?
Now it works. Good. How are you? Amazing.
Coach, your volume is low.
No, I just.
Better.
Is it working now? Is that okay?
Yes, Coach.
Much better.
Yes, Coach.
Coach.
Much better, Coach.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, sorry guys, I was logging in for the 5th time now. So I don't know. When I started the video, it all went down again. But now looks like it's stable. All right. So I just updated a few figures for all of you guys. So I guess you got better. That's good.
We did.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. Well, the question is, I think how about we do a Q&A right away, right? Because before I talk, and it's not interesting for you anyway, let's rather hit it. And I'm open for all of your questions.
Sure. Sure. Coach, I'll go first. Coach, I've been tracking my fitness on intervals.icu. I do see that, based on the workouts, we do hit a peak fitness, and then immediately the next 1 week it kind of tapers off, and then we are low down, and then it takes quite an effort, like FTP workouts again, to kind of get it up. Is there a reason why you keep pushing our fitness up and down all the time, or do you think that it's difficult to sustain or be on an upward trajectory all the time?
Yeah, I had a lot of, or have a lot of guys who work that stuff as well. The idea behind basically all the fitness and all the improvements you see is basically we need, since you all started, or some of you started the program, or you're in it like now for a year, right? So it needs to run cycles in your body as well, right? So for example, this week is completely different, right, than we did on a TT, right? But
yes,
we see still a lot of improvements through a broad range. So that tells me none of you hit a boundary yet. Even if you're interested in aerobic skills, some of you didn't hit the anaerobic skills as well, the boundary there. So there's still ample room to improve. That's the one thing, right? The other thing is, with all those programs judging you and modeling fitness as well, it's always tough, because I did see a lot of guys who came out with being it like I don't know how the platform is called, but it's all like with those intelligent software, right? Telling you to have thresholds beyond everything, right? And it's just not true. So you can really produce it on race day. So that's why I'll still keep changing, and I still keep basically pushing you towards different levels to then reach basically also the ultimate goal, which is for the most of you, obviously, those time trials, high aerobic skill, nature bike riding, basically, right? So that's why we don't hammer on one thing. And what I also did see, guys who followed basically some artificial intelligence as well, they just burn themselves, right? Yeah. So that's why it's still an up and down, and it's also great, even if you feel like, well, I could be doing more and more. A rest week is so important, right? Even if you say, well, now I would have time and I could ride, but it says rest day, right? And if you follow the other plan, it is still a increase in total fitness and CTL. And seeing the CTL increase is not always that the chronic load is maybe stagnating, right? But your skills and your peak performances might still be there. So it's just a matter of what you need, right? So that's why it might not add up to such a program, and it would tell you, well, you could do harder and you could do more and more and more. Yeah. But the whole idea is that there's still progress in there, and the progression method obviously works for sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, I hope it did answer all right, but
Yes, coach. Because I think the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've been seeing a trajectory where you like really ramped it up for 1-2 weeks, and then that one big rest week that we had, and after that, the couple of weeks, the workouts after that were a little easy, and then I don't know what you were thinking this week. You just buried us all together, one shot.
And it continues this week.
Yes.
Oh my.
Well, honestly, what I do see is especially talking about the general population around like Asia, right? So to put it in your direction, the Europeans, they tend to have better anaerobic skills from the get-go, right? Just when they start cycling, it's just different.
Okay.
That kind of load they can carry, right? Having said that, it's probably also a strength of more like the European riders, right? And and American riders as well. However, what I see in the Asian population, that's more like the events also you want to do is like endurance and ultra endurance and stuff like that, right? So the strength from the Asian world tends to be like more to that long aerobic skill workouts, whatever it is. In our case, cycling, obviously. But and now comes the interesting thing. There's still to gain if you don't only train your strength, but sometimes also the weaknesses. And since there's no time trialing this weekend, I thought, well, maybe now is the time to really hammer on on the anaerobic skills, because what you need to do is to recover in between, and that's the big thing you have. So basically, for us, we all want to leverage up the lactate threshold. If your body never sees real lactate, like big chunks of lactate, how can it still get the last energy out of that lactate, right? If you don't introduce it to your system. And this week is introduction of lactate.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's also a thing, right?
Got
We all want to have the lactate threshold high, but you also need to tell your body, okay, well then cope with it, cope with that kind of first of all, it's lactate still has energy in it, right? But it's a waste product initially. So the body needs to cope with it first, and then it can basically eat it up again and get the last energy out of it. And that's what you need to do as well. You need to introduce it to the system, so you also have the buffering capabilities, right? That's the
Coach,
idea.
one of the main Coach, one of the main reasons why I asked that was in case I'm planning for an event, let's say in November, that is still like about 6 or 7 months away. How do I plan it in the sense like to ensure I'm actually in peak fitness when I'm going for that event?
Well,
let's say last year we did the Nandi, the only race that finishes with a hill climb. So if I want to do that again this year, but that's still a good 6 months away, 6-7 months away, how do I plan my fitness, or how do I go about it where I still feel I go into that race, in spite of doing all the small ITTs and everything, in spite of that, still manage the load and still go into that race relatively fresh, because that apparently is going to be my A race for the year, if that is the A race for the year for me.
Okay. Well, basically, you only need to know 2 concepts or 3 concepts of fitness to basically conquer that one. So one thing is, we always talk about it, right? And if we talk about watts, it's like the intensity. So how hard are you pedaling, right? That's what we know. That's for sure something which gets you to the next stage, which gets you to the next fitness level. The other thing is progression, right? Do more of it. Either do it harder or do more of it. So progression needs to be a part of it. And one more thing, which is also super important looking at your event, is like specificity, right? It needs to be specific for your event. So let's go let's start with the end in mind. So you want to be aerobically fit on your event and nicely prepared, right? So on the event itself, you're planning for, and the weeks before the event, obviously you want to go close to threshold, basically around sweet spot, right? Because you want to conquer that climb still with either good tempo pace or sweet spot pace, honestly. And you said it's 6 hour event, right? So basically a longer ride.
Coach, it's a 100 km race, so it finishes with a climb that's about 35
Okay.
minutes, 30 to
Okay,
35 minutes.
Yeah, okay. So still aerobic fitness. I mean, threshold is basically key, right? Since it's then it's about 2 to 3 hours, depending on or 2.5 to 3.5 hours, depending on how fast you ride. So threshold is a big player, and in the end, you wanna still keep pushing up that hill. So in order to be specific, well, close to that event, FTP riding, sweet spot riding, and tempo riding to just get you there, right? Get you to the base of the hill. That'll be required. Right now is actually a good time now to introduce that lactate, to do what we do this week, right?
Yes.
And progression, if you can, for example, with work, right? And you can schedule things around the year, then progression obviously also means that in order to get the CTL up, right, we either do intensity or do duration. So in your case, I would suggest intensity. You don't need too much towards the event above FTP, but the duration obviously is also a killer. So you don't have to need to have training rides which are 5 hours plus. That's not really required, but it definitely helps to have like a few weeks before, 3 to 4 weeks before the event, have those longer tempo rides, right? And that's where you ride 4 hours and most of it in tempo, right? 2 hours, 2 hours 30, 3 hours in tempo pace, because that's what's needed. That's the basic noise you need to do the event and to end up great at the base of the hill. So right now, it's not so much the intensity part and not so much the threshold, which I would be worried about. Just get the CTR up to a certain level. And then maybe, in order to get that progression, get more time for training just before the event, in the like 6 weeks before the event, to really leverage it one more time. And chronically, you now set the pacing basically, and then you first increase the chronic load, and then just taper in with it, and that can be done within 1 week, right? Not even a week, honestly, for a 100K race, right? You don't have to have a week. It's like 4 days taper, fine. Yeah, that would be the idea.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, I
So,
had a
Coach,
question. Can I go?
yeah, go ahead, please go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Prasad here. How are you?
Hi, good. Are you?
Good, good. Coach, my question is specific to time trials. We have a lot of these events in Chennai here, and that's what we mostly do. And while my intervals and other things are okay, I'm able to manage them. But in time trials, I find it very hard to keep the steady state efforts throughout the duration of the time, right? So how do I improve that? And maybe a few others also had some similar questions regarding that. So if you could put some light on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your chronic load, right? That's mainly a driving factor for that. to put it in other words, good time trialists are able to ride for hours in the tempo zone. So in order to do that, honestly, even with the workouts I prescribe normally, not this week, but normally, right? You can always add time in the tempo zone. And for adding time in the tempo zone, you only need basically two things, right? You need the intensity, but you need at least a 10, better 15 minutes duration in the tempo zone. Not above, not below, just right in there. And that's getting you that basic fitness, right? That constant pushing, pulling of the pedals. All the pros who go now to Tenerife and are doing or Gran Canaria and who are staying at the island, right? They do a whole lot of riding in a tempo zone, and you'll know that because they just pass you with a good speed and they are still talking. But they are not like that low intensity training, that lit training, lit. That's what you hear a lot in the nowadays, right? In Facebook and whatever, it's all full with low intensity riding. But that doesn't mean, and zone 2 riding. But the zone 2 is actually defined in another way, right? So it's not our power-based zone 2. So it's not real endurance. It's a pace where you are definitely working harder than endurance pace, but also just a tad below the sweet spot pace, which is upper tempo anyway, sweet spot per initial definition, but just a tad lower. And if you can sustain that for hours, that'll bring you first of all, a better feel for easing out those power changes, right? And it's going to make you a harder endurance athlete. Harder meaning more sustainable, more stamina, right? So if anybody's looking for that and feels that, just add tempo after the workouts. Try to hit the tempo pace again and maintain it until you basically burn out. That's the whole idea. Because what it is, in the end, almost in the mid of the tempo zone is your max fat burning zone. But it's also, it's not percentages, it's like grams of fat, right? The amount of fat. So that's why you need that higher intensity, because you just have more energy itself you burn, and more energy is coming from fat as well. And that's basically the base down there before setting up another level on that, going through threshold. Yeah, just ride hard longer.
Okay, thanks,
Easy
Coach.
done, right? I mean, it's just right after.
Sure.
But that does the trick. That does the trick, and that's why you also see a lot of. I give you a lot of tempo workouts, right? And also with lower cadence, right? Which is just teasing out a bit more of the slow twitch fibers, of the endurance fibers. So that's why we don't spin that much, basically, if you're interested in that one.
Oh, you mean the force pedaling, that one, the low cadence force.
Correct.
Okay. Does Z1, Z2 help us in any way with all of our training? Or should we keep it more in the tempo and the intervals type of zones?
Yeah, it does help, definitely. Because those are the zones where normally if you have a good constitution, then those are the zones which the body can use to basically use that lactate, which is mainly coming from fast twitch fibers, and eat it up and suck it up basically in those slow twitch fibers, in those endurance fibers. So that's what's needed, right? That's why it's active recovery and endurance is almost the same way. Yeah. That's why we also pedal in between hard intervals, right? Because you want to get rid of all the stuff, all the ions, right? All the acidity in the muscle. We get rid of it in the endurance and active recovery zones. But training wise, the endurance zone is obviously needed if you do 5 hour, 6 hour rides, because you can just sustain that long. But in the end, yeah, for aerobic training, that the good thing starts with tempo, right? And if you're a pro cyclist sitting 8-9 hours in the on the bike, there's no way, there's no way that you can do more than the endurance zone, because the endurance zone is already in those high trained guys is already 200 plus kilojoules, right? Or 200 plus watts, which means they even burn 1,000 calories with no effort for them, but they have to eat a lot. That's why they eat much bigger bowls than we need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coach, I had a final question. So when you give out our plans for the week, you tend to give out an outline or an overview of what is being given for the week and what we are trying to achieve. Is there something that you can provide like for a month, following up with Aaron's question, right? So he has an event in November, and he's preparing for that, and there is a month-on-month build-up that he would have to do to get to that point, and then taper for the event. Similarly, when you are giving us the plans, perhaps you can give us what the goal is for the month, or like a 1-line or 2-line overview of what we are trying to achieve this month or what we're going towards. Maybe that'll be helpful for us.
Yeah. If you have those big events, maybe if as a group then get together and say, well, hey, most of us are going to this and that event. That would be awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I can get that, then it's perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Coach. Thank you. Yeah. That's all I had.
Awesome.
Thanks, Prasad. So, Coach, I was also just going to talk about the same thing. So, a lot of people are participating in ITT events, and everyone is doing really well. So, I mean, kudos to everyone. Everyone has been following through on their workouts, and they're definitely seeing the gains. The stat sheets are stacked. Everyone is hitting PRs, and there's just segment PRs everywhere. So, I think one thing that folks can do is just on their training peaks, if they have any event coming up, just add that on the event calendar. So at least coach can see that when he's loading up the workouts on a weekly basis, he's at least able to see that there's some event coming up. Like for instance, next week there's an ITT. If it's there, then he'll at least know that he'll need to give maybe workout specific to that person for that event. So just make sure you add that in there. And coach, is there anything else that could help you? Like for instance, we've spoken about this in the past about an A event and a B event, for instance, right? So let's say the Nandi event is the A event for Aaron and a few other people. Is there something that we can do on Training Peaks, like add it as an A event so that it pops up for you? Is there a way for us to do that?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't allow. Okay.
The bad thing is, like, if you put in, they have like the comment. I don't even know how it's called exactly. Hold on, let me see. In Training Peaks, they have like a few things which are not perfect yet. Because if you add an event, it doesn't even tell me that you added an event. So,
oh, okay. Okay.
bad.
So unless
But
you
if
actually scroll and see it.
Yeah, but if you completed a workout, it tells me that you completed a workout. So yeah, the other way would be actually a bit better and a bit more helpful. The same goes with availability. I get an email for that one, but what's even worse is the note. So don't put in notes. Don't put in like after the ride. Put in like the post activity comments. Right? Those are good.
Those are helpful.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are helpful. But honestly, for all that planning and all that, let's just let's just set up a group call
Okay.
and clarify that one. So Nandi,
maybe I can do this then, Coach, because all of these folks,
Yeah.
I can maybe get a list of events that they are interested in participating in, and then I can send out that list to you, and maybe that'll be helpful. Okay,
that would be awesome.
Alright.
Because otherwise, I would have to enter every athlete and then scroll through their calendar to
I
find out
understand.
what's in. I mean, it's not really practical. Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
It's a big mess.
Actually, I think last time, if not wrong, I think when we had our call last time, I think Coach was the one who updated the calendar. In a sense, he updated the event for us, because he did tell us last time that when we update an event, he's unable to see them. So I think some of us got together, the guys who were doing Nandi last time. So we informed him, and then he updated the calendar, the Training Peaks calendar for us. If I'm not wrong,
Understood.
I think that's what happened. I think that's what happened last time.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So what I usually do is I just add, for instance, this last weekend there was a TT. I just add an event, but yeah, Coach, unless he sees my calendar, he won't know that it's there. So that's something of an issue on Training Peaks. So okay, that's fine. So Coach, I can work with the athletes and get a list out for you, and that should be helpful to you then.
Yeah, and it's also better guidance for the group scheme, right? So to get that going the right direction. Yeah.
Sure, Coach, I understand. And Coach, one other thing about the track A and the track B athletes. So I mean, we have all the batches here, the first batch and the most recent batch. The recent batch folks, do you guys have any questions about what track A is and track B, and why your workouts are designed a certain way? I mean, this is the first time you're meeting with Coach after the initial call, so so any questions from your side, guys?
Yeah, I have. This is Sham here. So I have a couple of questions, but to answer your questions, Sri. So I think initially we all started off with track A and B workouts, but then Coach clarified on the group saying everyone is starting with track B. So I don't think probably we have the confusion of A and B right now. Maybe for the initial few weeks we had that, but yeah, probably others can chime in as well if there's anything. But I had a couple of other questions as well. But Sri, did you want to talk about something else? Or I can.
No, Sham, you can carry on. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was clear why they were doing a certain track. The other groups already know, but you guys are new, so if you had any doubts about that, yeah.
Yeah, a quick explainer would probably help. I remember vaguely, if I remember this right, track A is for folks who need to build up their aerobic capacity, long duration stuff, and for B, it's a lot of focus on anaerobic stuff. If I'm not wrong, but yeah, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, all good.
Cool. Cool. So yeah, I'll get started with my questions. So the first thing is, Coach, something you spoke of when Aaron had a question, like on burnouts and stuff. I just wanted to say, before getting into the latest batch, I was on a platform called Trainer Road for about 8 to 9 months, where there was a lot of sweet spot workouts day after day, and I did feel a lot of burnout at but by the 7th month or even by the 3rd month, I had to take a break for a month and then get back on the platform. So I can definitely relate to when you say when you talk about burnout there, right? And that's been something refreshing after I joined this batch, where there is a lot of focus on zone 1-2 rides on the weekend. That relaxes a lot of things, and then we get into the intensity at the beginning of the week. So that's been a good change. I just wanted to say that. And then my other two questions are around my FTP, Coach. So I've been cycling for about 3 years until now.
Can I get to the first one as well? Because that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, because that maybe also answers the question from before as well. Like, why doing 2.5-hour endurance rides, right? Because I mean, with the question before, is active recovery or endurance good for us? At some